How's it going, guys? Welcome to the Forge Gaming Podcast number 7. I'm Blade94 and I'm here with my buddy Olamande, as always.
What's up, guys? And it's been a fairly quiet week, fairly when it comes to gaming.
Yeah, I think it's been more news about things that we were already kind of aware of, just more things about them. And that's going to be a little bit of what we're going to be discussing here as well. So we got two topics as usual, and first of which, Troy, you'll have to remind me if it was a rumor or if it's been confirmed, but I think there's just word out right now that Titanfall 2 might just be coming out this year.
Yeah, from what I've heard and what I've read from various sources, it seems that it's coming out holiday season of 2016.
That would be crazy. I mean, we haven't even seen gameplay or even a trailer. I mean, we know the game's coming out. You know, this it's no secret. Sledgehammer is or not Sledgehammer. Who is it? Respawn. Respawn's already working on a couple different games, but Titanfall 2 is one of them. We know it's going to be on PlayStation, and haven't seen anything about it. Then all of a sudden, rumors come out that all of a sudden it's going to be out in the next 5, 6 months, 7 months.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Uh,
I'm excited about it coming out. I think it's gonna be
I'm
legit.
I don't want to say this, but I am a little bit doubtful that it will be coming out at that time. I would be very pleasantly surprised if it were. Um, I just feel like marketing time usually lasts a little bit longer than that, but who knows? Um, but there's going to be a lot more factors to this game because, for any of you that, played Titanfall even for a little while, you know that while it didn't last nearly as long as they had hoped, it was a blast to play. And, I personally think Respawn knocked it out of the park. I think it was lacking in some areas, but I think that, it was a great, fun, very refreshing game to play. And Troy, I know you and bought the, I remember you buying the massive special edition at GameStop at the midnight release and tore
Oh
that game
yeah,
up.
yeah, definitely. That was it was great walking out of there with that. Um, Definitely one of the best collector's items that I have collected so far in my that I have sitting on here in the back of my desk. And you guys have probably seen it during my streams and stuff like that. It's sitting behind me usually to my back left shoulder. You're right, but yeah, I mean then the hype behind that game was real. The hype behind
Oh
Titanfall
yeah.
whenever it first came out, like, and that whole ordeal with Respawn and Activision and how that all went down. Um, yeah, I felt like I almost had to buy the game because of everything that went down with Respawn and Activision. You know, like
Yep, I
like
agree.
them basically turning down their Titanfall project. you know, and yeah, that whole ordeal and everything else that happened. But man, dude, the Titans, the mechs, um, it
Yeah,
was
well,
definitely a breath of fresh air for gaming.
ever ever since ever since I remember you were actually the first person to show me that first E3 trailer for the gameplay of Titanfall, and yeah, I was just mesmerized. I was like, I have to get my hands on this game, and I was not disappointed. And it's one of those things like, you know, it was a really good game, but now with the second one coming around, they know how to make it even better. They've
Oh yeah.
learned from what mistakes they did make, and they're gonna perfect on those things. And I do think a large part of it not being as successful might have had to do with, it not being on PlayStation and whatnot. But um, one of the key points that we wanted to talk about here, though, is for you guys that did play Titanfall, you know that it did not have a single player campaign.
Nope.
And So, some people may not have cared about that. I remember reading something about Respawn saying that, you know, they spend months and months and months and all this money on developing a single player campaign that a very large portion of the consumers really don't even ever play. For a first person shooter, campaigns aren't typically the selling point, so they decided to just kind of do away with it. Um, they replaced it with sort of a scripted multiplayer match with some dialogue over it that was supposed to, ravel up to some sort of story, I guess. Um, didn't really pan out very well. I personally couldn't even tell you what the story was about, you know. Um, but the basis of that whole world and the universe that they've built is, I think, a perfect ground for making an amazing story.
Oh yeah, and one of the reasons why it's so hard to go back and recall everything that happened in that campaign. And one of the cool things that I did appreciate about the so-called campaign from the first Titanfall was that you got to play from both perspectives. I thought that was pretty cool.
Hmm.
But one of the reasons why it's not so memorable was because the dialogue of the campaign and everything that's important is happening while you're playing the game.
Right.
The lack of
And
cutscenes, those awesome. I mean, cutscenes are such a big deal nowadays, man. And
hmm
people may not play the people may not play through the campaign and things like that, but man, people do love cutscenes. That's
Oh
one thing that
yeah.
people do love, and if they can get some good legit cutscenes to go along with their gameplay, man, uh, dude, it'll be awesome, man. Look, just a few cutscenes that they already have in there, where it's not dialogue, but the scenes where you're leaving the ship and the ship is taking off and
hmm
you're going off into space and you're sitting with everybody next to you and stuff like that. When you're dropping in, dude, dropping in on Titanfall from the drop ship is still one of the most awesome things every time I play it. It's just so much fun.
Yeah.
Watching that, I never grow tired of it. But yeah,
Well, let
Titanfall 2
let
has
me
so much
ask you
potential.
this. Let me ask you this. Do you feel like it is critical to the story that they have a protagonist in the campaign of it? Because, I've heard you mention in the past that you feel like part of the reason Destiny's story isn't, super engaging is because there's not that one character who's kind of the face of the game and who is the hero of it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing for most of the shooters, and this is another reason why sometimes Call of Duty games, their campaigns sometimes don't get played as much, is because the main protagonist is there's not much to him. There's not much depth to the main protagonist's story. People just tend to just not care for him. But when you look at games like Halo, when you look at Gears of
Oh
War,
yeah.
when you look at Mass Effect, you look at those games and they all have a face to it. You know, when I say Halo, who do you think of? Master Chief.
Master Chief.
I say
You
Gears
got
of
Marcus
War,
Phoenix, Nathan
Marcus
Drake,
Phoenix.
Kratos. You got all, yeah,
Yes.
right. You got the people who are the face of that franchise, who they're always on the cover. You know their voice. I mean, by the time you play the second Halo game, the people that, were consistently into the story, they could tell you things about the person,
Yeah.
and I feel like that has a lot to do with how engaged people are going to get. So. And maybe they will. I know there wasn't a particular protagonist that was at least playable in the first one, obviously, but
Yeah.
um, you know, we'll
But I
see. But
I would like to see a main protagonist for Titanfall 2. I would like to see the guy's freaking face on the cover of the game. Have him freaking with a gun, on top of a Titan shooting, whatever. Make this guy awesome. Get a great voice actor. That plays
Hmm.
another really big part. Um,
Right.
make the campaign memorable. So that way, whenever we go back to play the game, we're excited for the campaign. How many times have you gone back and played Halo 3? The campaign.
Oh, realistically, probably 100. Not even
Yeah.
exaggerating.
Yeah. How many people go back and play the campaign for Call of Duty? You know, Not that many people. If anything, the only Call of Duty campaigns that are most memorable to me are Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2. And that's because of Mason. Mason has a
Yeah.
really good in-depth story to him when you're playing Call of Duty Black Ops 1 and when you're playing as his son in Black Ops 2, and yeah, you get and you become grown attached to the character. That's who you're playing as. You know, so give us
Right.
somebody. Respawn.
Hey, here's an idea I just had. I don't know who did the score for the first one, but I do know of a particular composer that is at least publicly not in the job at not doesn't have a job at the moment that would be pretty awesome if he joined on there. I think you know who I'm talking about.
Martin O'Donnell.
Marty
It
O'Donnell.
it would be great.
Please. That would be great. He knows what he's doing. Some of
Yeah,
my favorite game soundtracks came from that man, and I would love to see that. But that's a bit of a stretch, but
yeah. And
I can wish.
another thing that people don't really know about Marty O'Donnell, man, is that he's not just a composer, but he's also a director. Like whenever it comes
Hmm.
to the cutscenes and the music, he puts them together. You know,
Right.
and yeah, he plays a really big part. I have another thought for Titanfall 2. Um, give me a main character for Titanfall 2, and his Titan. Give me a Titan with a character, that a Titan that can talk. What about
Hmm.
that?
Sort of like an AI that,
Yeah,
follows you through the game.
yeah. So
I can
sort of
see that.
an AI kind of with an attitude. You know, uh, he can jump into him, and sometimes the AI kind of does his own thing and doesn't quite trust
Yeah.
him, and they have to build this relationship. They have to build this friendship. So that way they work better together.
They
And
have
I
a
would I would
Master
totally
Chief
enjoy that.
Cortana relationship.
Oh yeah, yeah, that
Yeah,
would be
well, it,
great.
it could fit into the story as well because, the Titans already do have an AI mode, so, you know,
I think that would
we're
bring a little more depth to the story, and just
it,
have this one Titan like that though, not
oh
all
yeah,
the
well,
other
just in the
ones.
story.
Yeah, just in the
Yeah.
story, But this guy has this one Titan that has this super AI chip, and he has the ability to learn and all that kind of stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and send him my script for Titanfall 2. That's what I'm gonna do.
There you go. Yeah, get working on that. Yeah, I just can't wait till that day comes that I see something posted online, you know, first Titanfall 2 gameplay trailer. And if it's anything like that first E3 trailer, then I will not be disappointed.
Yeah, whoever did those trailers, kudos to you, man. Did I just say kudos again?
No
Props.
kidding.
Props. Oh my gosh, props. Props to you. Just about every Titanfall trailer was awesome.
Yep.
Those
Yeah, I
trailers sold the
particularly
game. Who,
yeah, I mean
who,
the I always use the word blockbuster to describe the Titanfall games. It's like it's like watching I almost wanted to say a Michael Bay movie, but it is similar, I guess you could say.
oh yeah.
Um, but it's just epic, and now, like I said before, now that they're learning from their mistakes, watch out everybody else.
Yeah.
Uh, well,
Uh, yeah, whoever did those trailers, man, should have done the Batman v Superman trailers. That's all I'm saying.
yeah, probably so.
Uh,
All
but
right. Well,
that's enough for
anything else on
Titanfall
that
2.
topic, Troy?
Yeah, let's
All right.
go ahead and move to our second topic.
Well,
Um, Go for it.
The day has come where we will be bidding farewell to our old friend, the Xbox 360. And no, don't get worried. They are not stopping support for it. They will just not be manufacturing any more Xbox 360s, Microsoft has recently announced. And we just kind of want to give it our formal farewell as well as what that may mean for, the gaming community because it's no surprise, no secret that you know we are seeing less and less games come to 360 and PS3. So I think you know I don't know off the top of my head if they're still manufacturing PlayStation 3s. I would be surprised. Um,
Yeah, I would be too.
but I think it might just be the end of that time. I was telling Troy before we recorded this that I think it'll come down to basically stuff like sports games and games that are just going to come out on everything. If it's going to come out for Wii U and all that stuff as well, it'll probably come out for that. But you know, Destiny 2 eventually is going to come out. Don't think that's going to be on last gen.
Nope.
The Division's not on last gen. I believe that this next Call of Duty game, that at least very well should be next gen exclusive
Yeah.
because man, that Black Ops 3 on PS3 and 360 was atrocious. But
Yeah.
um, so Troy, what are your thoughts? I know you were a huge fan as I was of the Xbox 360.
Yeah, it's the beginning of the end, man. You know, the beginning of the end for the Xbox 360 anyways. But yeah, man, it's probably one of my most beloved consoles. Um
Yeah, it definitely changed things.
yeah, it changed all kind of things, and it was I believe the Xbox 360 was the first console that was actually for the gamers. You
Yeah,
know, it was all about the gamers. You know, everything from the indie games, the Xbox Live Arcade, all the
yeah,
apps that were added to it. Um, it was just, yeah, it was definitely a special console, and dare I say, it feels like the Xbox One is getting there. It's trying to be what the Xbox 360 was, and it kind of feels like they've gotten away from pleasing the gamers. But
yeah. I think they were just shooting too broad with the Xbox One. And
yeah,
360 dominated the console war back then. They outsold PlayStation 3 by a lot. Um, it's not going quite the same for Xbox One, um, but yeah, I mean, the 360, it just recently celebrated 10 years. 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago now, that console came out. I remember whenever it did, and I remember, you know, Halo 3 being the game that pushed the sales of that game, and, Gears of War was introduced, and, it was just such a monumental time in the history of video games that just kind of shaped.
yeah. Well, what about some of the lowlights of the Xbox 360? I know we want to sit here and praise it all day, but there are some things that we can't avoid talking about, like the red rings of death.
Oh, yep.
It's happened to us
Yeah,
all.
it's not all good. I personally never had a red ring of death. I know my brother did with his 360. I know Troy, you did.
Yeah, I did.
Um, there was a lot of people sending their consoles back in, and a lot of not so satisfied customers. Um, but they were quick to resolve that problem, whenever they actually had a solution to it. But yeah, physical, and they improved a lot of things with the physical aspect of it. Whenever the 360 first came out, it had the external hard drive on it that you'd have to, take on and off. Then they
Yeah.
came out with, the Xbox 360 Slim and, more and more and, you know, 360, I have to say I put more time in than any console I've ever played. I I can't necessarily say I grew up playing it because it's not quite that old, but uh, just growing up with it, I remember waking up earlier than I had to be you know, be doing school at home, and me and my brother would be playing Halo 3, and ranking up, and we would go through the campaign, and just so many memories in there.
Yeah. Remember when oh yeah, the Xbox 360 brought us the first Connect.
Well,
Oh man.
no, I can't. Well, the first of that Connect,
Of that Connect.
PlayStation actually,
Was it
PlayStation
PlayStation
had
I?
the,
You
is
don't
that what it was called?
the PlayStation
PlayStation
I?
Eye?
Yeah, that's what you're talking about.
It was for the PS2. Yeah, we had one
Yeah.
of those.
Oh my
Wasn't very
gosh.
good, but it
No.
started paving the way.
No. No. I
Yeah.
actually used my Connect. And right to this day, I still use it. My Xbox 360 sits in my living room, and I sit down, and the Connect is on top of the TV. Um, and I wave my hand, and I turn on Netflix using my using my hand because I don't want to get up and go grab the controller.
Yep. Troy used to host some birthday parties at his house, and they'd have their
Oh
Dance
yeah,
Dance Revolution
uh,
competitions and
Dance Central,
Dance
Dance
Central,
Central,
not Dance Dance Revolution. Yeah.
Dance
Oh
Central,
man.
and Fruit Ninja, Fruit
Fruit
Ninja on the
Ninja.
Connect.
Yep.
That's pretty fun too. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, I have to wonder, and I'm sure there are, a group of people out there, but how do you think the community will take the slowly, developing lack of games, for the last gen consoles? Because realistically, there are some people out there that haven't, you know, that still haven't moved over to it.
yeah. Well, it's one of the things where it's time to move on. And right now, Xbox Ones and PS4s are selling at a super low price right now. And if you were patient and you waited, you know, now's a great time to go pick up a new console, whichever one it may be for you.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I feel like it's definitely time. The Xbox
Yeah,
360 has
and
been
for
pushed to its
anybody
limits.
for anybody that is still in the market for a new a next gen console. I know money's tight for a lot of people, but those prices have dropped significantly on those consoles, so I would definitely keep an eye out.
Yeah, I paid
Especially
five
if you
hundred
want
bucks
to.
for my Xbox One.
I mean, for instance, my brother Josiah, we played through a lot of Outlast on the PlayStation 4, and he ended up actually buying it on his computer because he can't get it on 360 or PlayStation 3, and games like that are what's pushing him to buy a new console, even though he loves the 360 as much as I do. But 360, at one point 360 was, dare I say, more popular than the consoles out right now. It was the console to have.
Yeah, and I think the 360 will still be relevant as long as freaking Netflix is available on the Xbox 360. It will continue to sit in my living room, and my kids will continue to play Minecraft on it, and I
Right.
will jump on it and play. I made a game with zombies in it every now and then, and reminisce on good times and old times and things like that. And dude, I still play. I have a bunch of old consoles here. Every now and then, I break out my Nintendo. I break out the Sega every now and then, and you go back and you play some of those old games. And I know there's emulators and stuff like that. And the 360 currently right now, you can currently if you have a PC that's strong enough for it, you can currently emulate Xbox 360 games on a PC easily. But there's nothing like having that controller, in your hand, and feeling,
Yeah.
that actual controller for that console. I can totally play an NES emulator on my PC easily, but there's nothing like getting out my Nintendo, holding that small little rectangle controller with four buttons and a D-pad, and just trying to beat freaking Contra or whatever, Wrath of the Black
Right.
Manta, if anybody knows what that game is.
Yeah. No, I agree. And Troy, one more thing that, I didn't even think about that you brought up earlier though is the Xbox Arcade.
Oh yeah.
Uh so you want to jump on that? I know you're much more familiar into that than I am.
Yeah, and, I know Microsoft has always been big on indie game development, and the 360 next to Steam, when it comes to developing indie games, the 360 on consoles anyway was where it was at. There are so many
Hmm.
great indie games on the 360 on the Xbox Live Arcade. Um, Dude, games that became hits, games that I would rather play than AAA games. Like
Yep.
I would totally rather play. I made a game with zombies in it than Duke Nukem Forever. You know, and that's just how it is. But yeah,
Um, was
dude,
was N Plus an arcade game on there, or is that
yeah,
just a
M
different
Plus is an
indie
arcade
game?
game on there. It's currently backwards compatible, which makes me
Right, yeah.
super happy. I have M Plus here on my Xbox One, but yeah, there's
And
yeah,
that's a great parting gift. The fact that while we haven't gotten everything, and hopefully we will, the fact that yes, we're gonna, start transitioning out of that console, but we get to take, eventually probably most of it with us. So n gone but not forgotten.
yeah. I'm particularly worried about the indie games though. A lot of the great indie games that cost $1, like the Impossible game. I
Mm,
made a game with zombies in it. There's so many good indie games. There's a minor Dig Deep game that was super popular. I think it was like one of the third or fourth most bought games out of all the indie games on the Xbox Live Arcade. I'm wondering what's gonna happen with
right.
those games. You know,
Well, let me say this, and this just popped into my head is, you know, do you think that the possibility or the reason that, that hasn't happened is possibly because most of those games can run on your phone or your tablet? Like games like N Plus, games like I Made a Game with Zombies in it. Those games are a little bit less relevant to play on a console now because those kind of games to that capacity can be played on a mobile game. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, I totally see what you're saying there. Yeah, I can totally see why they would almost abandon it altogether. You know, one thing that I well, here's a thought. Um, with those games, and there are games still currently coming out. There are still indie games coming out on the Xbox 360. Um, right now as we speak, you know, and
Hmm.
what would you say about Microsoft dabbling into the mobile game area and taking the Xbox Live, taking a version of the Xbox Live Arcade to mobile?
I think that'd be great. And I think that would be something that would work really well, but hopefully not exclusively with their line of Surface tablets and Surface phones. They've got
Yeah.
the Windows and everything.
Well,
So that's something they can integrate into that.
yeah, and I think I think Microsoft is from I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe they are abandoning the Windows Phone. I think that's about the
Really?
end. I think the Windows Phone is about the end. Not the tablets. The Surface tablets are still going to keep coming out, And from what I've held one, I've messed with one before, and Windows Surface tablets are excellent and they're great and they're smooth and they're very great and reactive. But
Right.
yeah, they're going multi-platform whenever it comes to phones and tablets and things like that. Like you see that Halo Spartan Assault is on the iPad, 1 and 2. I
Right.
actually own both of them on my iPad. Um, they're also available on Android. Minecraft, which Microsoft owns, is available on. Well, it was already available on iPad and
Right.
Android devices, but that's also Microsoft owned material. You know, we're still waiting to see what Microsoft is going to do with Minecraft. What they're going to do with what's the company that owned it called? Was it Mojang or something like that? I can't remember how to
Yeah,
pronounce it.
no, it was something I don't remember, but it was one particular guy that,
Yeah,
basically put the game together.
but
Um,
yeah,
but
I
yeah,
would like
I
to
would
see
love
them
to
bring
see
it
all
to
the
mobile.
I would love to see PlayStation and Nintendo both jump on that too. I know Nintendo's already dabbling in the whole
Oh yeah,
mobile game
yeah,
department, so
Nintendo's there. They're there. Nintendo
yeah.
currently has a couple of apps in the top 10 in the Apple Store that I saw already, and
Hmm.
the
Yeah.
free stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I would not mind at all if the, Xbox Arcade, at least majority wise, went to be on mobile, just particularly so that it won't be,
Yeah,
gone. Because I don't
and
know of a whole lot of people that are going to keep 360s around just so they can play I made a game with zombies in it. You know what I mean?
yeah, and dude, I
So,
would totally like to see the Xbox Live Arcade um come to the Xbox One. Not saying that bring all the games that was on the 360 and bring them over to the Xbox One. I know that would be very difficult. I'm not sure how possible that is, but bring a
right.
new version of it. You know, dude,
Yeah.
there are indie games coming out. Like, dude, there are indie games coming out at one point on 360. They were coming out every day. I would look on there, dude, and there would be like 2 or 3 new games like every day. Like they were
Right.
pumping
It's
out
all,
indie games all the time.
yeah. It's almost like Microsoft needs to learn from their past,
I
you
know.
know.
Definitely, man. And dude, that gave young developers and indie developers a chance, man. And some of those guys made it big, and some of those guys
Yep.
are have already created some great stuff, and they're currently working on some good stuff right now. And I can't wait to see what they're gonna bring, But the thing is, a lot of those
Yeah.
guys are jumping ship, you know, and heading over to PC because right now PC's running the indie game right now, man. PC is running it.
Oh yeah. Well, ever since, Steam became a thing, that's how it's going to be rolling. But,
Yeah.
regardless, you know, big applaud to Microsoft for the 360 and the success it had. And, it definitely something that, I'll appreciate. And, you know, heck, my kids are going to play the 360 someday. That's going to be the console that, like, if they're going to have one console to play on that they need to get introduced to, I'm going to keep it around for that reason. But, it's, you know, good on you, Microsoft, for that accomplishment. 10 years of continuing to manufacture one console is incredible.
Yeah. Ah, man. Well, farewell Xbox 360. You will be missed. You will still get played. Um, and you will disappear in history. And as cheap as you are right now, currently you can go online on eBay and you can buy an Xbox 360 for 20-30 bucks. You can buy the old original white Xbox 360 for 20 to 30 bucks. And in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, GameStop will turn around and sell those jokers for $80 a piece because that's what they're doing right now with Nintendo 64s and Nintendo NES systems and
Right.
Super Nintendos.
Yep.
Dude, GameStop is selling Nintendo 64s for like $80 right now.
Get out of here.
Yes. I'm like, are you serious?
Uh,
Are you serious?
GameStop. I think at some point we need to have a podcast discussion on the future of video games retailers, physical retailers, but that's a conversation for another night.
Oh yeah, Funko Land, Funko Land. That's GameStop now.
Yeah.
What's the other one?
EB
EB
Games.
Games. EB Games.
EB Games.
So
uh,
long, guys. You're not gonna make it. You're not gonna make it.
that might be the gist of it, but
Uh,
we'll get to that. All right. Well, Troy, you have any parting words for the people listening out there?
no. Just guys, let's appreciate the games that we have. You know,
Hmm.
now is like one of the greatest times to be a gamer. Um, there's so many great games out there, and before you know it, that console time may be up. And dude, from all the rumors and stuff that's going on right now, it's seeming like the next generation of consoles may just be right around the corner. So, and it hasn't even been
Yeah.
that long.
No, it hasn't.
So,
But
go back
yeah.
and play your 360s. Enjoy them until they shut down all the servers.
Yes. Oh, don't say that. It'll be a little while. Uh, all right, guys. Well, check out the recent podcast if you want, and we'll link some of that there in the description. Um, check out our latest top five montages, as we both have. Each one of us have actually posted one now, so every other week we're each going to post one. And check out the Judah v. Troy. Troy is inching his way towards the lead.
Yeah.
And
Oh man.
well, leave a like if you enjoyed, guys. Subscribe for much, much more, and we will see you guys online.
Later, guys.